Hello everybody, welcome into the ESL Challenger League here, the South American region, of course, continuing underway as I believe we come to the final game of the regular season for these teams. Very much looking forward to getting into it. I'm Scriv. I'm going to be joined here by Grimmy. How you doing, my friend, coming into this one? I think our first cast together, actually.
It would be, and I'm very excited because we've obviously known each other for years. I've interviewed you at LAN, so like it's kind of cool that now it's finally, it's actually crazy that it is the first time because you normally get like our circles intertwined a lot. So I'm excited because not only do we have a great game, but I'm joined by an even better commentator.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Thank you very much, sir. It's indeed going to be a good time, though, getting into the game. So let's have a little check-in with the standings here. I think it should paint a pretty good picture of where things are at. I actually caught MIBR yesterday, and the line that we took there was the fact that seeding-wise, placement-wise, yes, they're in playoffs, but their seeding is not looking fantastic here. I don't know that they're going to be able to do too much to move that, but potentially getting the wins here over Red Canid, if they manage to find both of the BO1s, could make a real big difference in terms of where they end up placings-wise.
Yeah, because I think if you've seen MIBR's international form, you would kind of assume they come into like something like ESL Challenger South America and very much contend for the top 2 places at a minimum, and today they could basically rule themselves out of that if they probably don't win both of these games against Red Canids, who are currently ahead of them. And I think Red Canids are a team that obviously they've got a lot of hype because of the players such as coldzera, but I think they're definitely performing a lot better than I maybe anticipated when I did first see this lineup formed.
Yeah, for sure. And I think when you look at this squad, you can kind of feel that there is a lot of energy about them, a lot of confidence domestically as well, is a really sort of good sign. I think that they also performed pretty well at Pro League, and that potentially comes down to them being a team that someone might have overlooked. The preparation's not done directly for the Red Canids necessarily, so and they took down a few teams that were weak going into that event, I think it is safe to say. But yeah, domestically you'd expect them to maybe struggle. You'd expect their opponents to be much more ready for their style of play, and they have actually done very, very well. It's Pain that has taken the limelight, as it were, just because they were undefeated for so long and have ended up having a really good season. But I think Red Canids can sort of leave the regular season at the very least with their heads held high before going into the playoffs, and it should be a pretty good playoff berth for them as well. I believe we've got a little look at the rosters here as well as we continue talking over the teams.
Yeah, I think so. Red Canids, as we mentioned, the probably like everyone had their name on their on the tips of their tongues because of coldzera when he joined. I think that was a big shock maybe to a lot of people. Maybe like he's fallen out of like, what's the word, kind of like favor potentially, but
sure.
He joins a team where you have David Deus and Venom Zera, who are 2 players that I feel like have yet to prove themselves at an international level. There's probably obviously like proving grounds regionally, with both of them having stints on Paqueta, and then I think on David Deus was like the 9Z roster where a lot of us saw him. And then now with the addition of Henny, you bring a lot of experience joining up with Knifin as well already with that experience. And you've got this roster that's actually turning into a real dangerous foe. And as you mentioned, like Pro League, sure, you look at an Ents, you look at a Falcons, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, you walking wounded teams, whatever. But it's like, regardless, those are actually some really impressive results. Taking out of Fury, like showing they are contending for actually making some good European runs. And recently, I think a really cool litmus test is this CBS Masters, this like kind of local regional tournament in Sao Paulo. It didn't have the biggest of prize pool, but it had the big teams. It had Imperial, Pain, Bestie, Red Canids. Well, guess what? Red Canids won all of that. Best of 5 final, they proved themselves. And I think that's actually a really good showing for this team off Pro League, that they actually might have some upward trajectory.
Yeah, definitely. I think that this squad as well, unfortunately, made that decision, that active decision to play in the Challenger Atlanta qualifiers rather than Rio. ESL sort of came out and said it's one or the other guys. You know, we can't have you qualifying for both kind of thing. That just wouldn't be logistically possible for us. And they ended up losing that qualifier out to Odic. A couple best of threes lost to that team, actually. So that was difficult for them, I think, because honestly, Odic have had a good qualifier there, but they were never really going to do anything at the event themselves, whereas I could see Red Canids actually finding success and maybe pulling off an upset against some of the favorites in that tournament. So, you know, they'll be kind of kicking themselves on that one. Maybe not the best end to the month for them, but ultimately looking to continue on with the South American ECL here and hopefully have a good playoff run. In terms of where this first map is going as well, I think that this could be a dangerous one. The Nuke, it always stands out as a pretty good map for MIBR. Yes, maybe the stats don't look as good, but when you put it under that microscope, this is the map that they kind of made a name for themselves on during Pro League. So Red Canids are comfortable on Nuke, as you would expect from, you know, a BO1 veto like this. But MIBR, it feels like it kind of is their solid home map, especially against that international competition.
Yeah, and you know, staying in theme with the tournament we're in, you know, Red Canids have beaten Pain on this map in this tournament. That's actually like a really big result to be picking up. But when I look at MIBR, I just kind of associate them with Nuke, and it's like, okay, wins against Spirit, 9Z Heroic, like those are some very legit wins, and we've seen the Heroic recently in form, so you know it wasn't that long ago Pro League, so there still was that form at Pro League. So I think MIBR, like, they're the favorites coming into this, and especially for the first best of one, the first map in our kind of best of two, like I'd put them as the favorites, and I think that's where we've both gone with this one. Maybe the only talking point is the roster changes, but I think a lot of people seem to like the Lucauzi roster changing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on those predictions, it does make a lot of sense for us to lean that way. Lucauzi, as we've sort of mentioned, has been a good addition to this team, but for me yesterday, a bit of the theme and what we've seen from him, it's only been a couple of weeks, but he has maybe struggled to fully fit in. He's not hit the ground completely running and been like a, you know, massive 1-for-1 firepower upgrade. He has actually had a few weaker numbers since joining this team. That being said, yesterday on Nuke, this very map, he looked brilliant. It was Safe that took over the game. Bro, he was like 22-4 in one half. What? It was absolutely crazy. Yeah,
that's insane.
But Lucauzi was not too far behind, right? So he was like 16-5, which is a respectable half as well.
That's right.
So, you know, really, really solid game out from him, proving that he can do it. But it's a challenge. It is a challenge, I think, coming into this MIBR team. He is a firepower upgrade, but maybe is he going to fit the roles? Are they still working that out? They also have to separate out the resources, because Insani's been playing very good Counter-Strike right now, which comes as somewhat of a surprise, you know, in the past few months. In terms of our actual player to watch here, though, Freddie, we do lean on the other side of things, and it is a relatively simple one. It is sort of the best player in theory number-wise on the server. David, so it is good to point him out, right? We talked about this international Counter-Strike. He, even in some of the losses, had some very, very good series when they were over in Malta.
And I think when you see those players who perform at a high level when they go internationally, you expect them to, if anything, not just uphold that, but improve upon those statistics when they come back regionally. And alongside Insani, David Diaz has done that, especially in this tournament. It's just kind of insane. Like a 1.36 rating across a very lengthy, drawn-out league is no easy feat. And I don't necessarily think there is that theme of them having to rely on him. I think he is a win factor of if he doesn't step up at all during a game, especially in a series against MIBR, that is worrying. But with like Cold Zero and especially with Henny, big firepower upgrade and Venom Zero, sure, I don't think he is a one-man army, potentially like he could have been in past situations.
Yeah, no, that is very true. This is a very big test, I think, for the Red Canids for sure. They've had a great season thus far. Going 1-for-1 and a close loss against Pain, that's probably their sort of biggest game of the season. There's a couple things in here, you know, when you take a closer look. They've actually had quite a lot of defaults, Freddie. One of those being against Imperial.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's maybe something, at least with how high up the list they've ended, let's say. They did get slapped around by Bestia. So, you know, those are the scary. They got slapped around by Fluxo. Those are the scarier teams. One of them, like I say, Imperial, they've sort of skipped. Pain, they brought it close. That's fair. The other big names in South American Counter-Strike, they have struggled against. And then the last big name that they have here is MIBR right at the very final hurdle. So it will be very interesting to see actually how they do here, but also I think as well what we're touching on is how they do in those playoffs when they have to play the scarier names in the deeper games. They might actually end up struggling. So it's going to be a very trying time for Red Canids, but I'm excited for that. And, you know, South American Counter-Strike always remains exciting because they really do live in a world where anyone can beat anyone, you know, and we have seen that for the most part this season.
Apart from Pain apparently just
apart from those guys.
I think they were like 19-0 at one stage, so maybe a few losses at the end. I think they actually default lost right against Insanity, so they would have been in that. MIBR are the true kind of narration of, like, you look at these results and you're just kind of like, what? Like, trading wins pretty much all across the board and then getting annihilated by Pain 13-1 on a Mirage. I think at the start of the year, there was a big narrative that bloomed from the major of like, who actually is the best team in Brazil, right? There was so many good like South American Brazilian teams, and I think MIBR have just about kept themselves in that conversation because of their Pro League finish. But I think this leading to the kind of bigger picture of RMRs are coming up soon, right? And you've got the American RMRs, which is completely stacked. MIBR been invited. Red Canids have qualified. MIBR have ESL Challenger Katowice, the LAN, coming up. So they have that they've been automatically invited to. So they could get some, like, one more test before those RMRs. But it's like a team that does really well in a deep challenger playoff run would not only potentially just award themselves a Pro League spot, but also could set themselves up great against those regional rivals going into Shanghai. And I think that's also a really interesting narrative because for me, Pain are potentially slipping away from the rest. I don't know if that's something that you might agree with.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think they are maybe getting themselves into that position. We'll see. We've been quietly excited for a lot of teams out of South America. 9Z was the team at one point, you know, so I do hold myself back a little bit, hold a few reservations, just because we see them. MIBR maybe a couple years ago as well was one that was, I think, turning a few heads. And there is a big gap, though. There is a big gap in the South American Counter-Strike, really, since Furia have not really been super competitive and ultimately are only getting their spots because of, like, partner leagues. I think next year for South America will be really intriguing with all these changes to the circuit. But we are into the game. We have got 4 sets of Julies out from MIBR, which is absolutely crazy. I don't know that I've seen that many in all my life.
Okay, so same thing, 2 players don't buy armor and, you know, drop utility. Nope, dual Berettas. This is a first for me. And trades are going back and forth. We're keeping a lot of pressure applied here, as you'd anticipate with the Julies. But Red Canids make the decision to divert themselves away from that A-bomb site and go down towards Julie. They do get the bomb down. However, you were talking about Safe having a great game yesterday. I feel like he might continue that today.
Yeah, it is possible. It is possible. He was so comfortable on this map, bro, and he just took over the game from the word go. So far, so good. I think when there's so many Julies around and he's actually one of the players without armor, you wouldn't expect him to maybe find 3. A crazy buy-up from MIBR. They're not messing around. This also comes as maybe one of those games as well in your head where you are secure, you are in the playoffs, so potentially have a bit of fun with it, which could create, and that's what they were doing yesterday as well, it felt like, could create some really, really dangerous Counter-Strike. They ended up snatching it away in the end, but Crew did give them a really, really, really solid run on Ancient, which was our second map, second best of one yesterday. And I think MIBR had a really quick nuke. They were enjoying it a lot, and then they did lose themselves ever so slightly. So we'll keep checking back in with like where the mental is, where the approach is and whatnot for these guys. They definitely have their sights set on the playoffs by now.
For Julie's definitely is insane. I'm still kind of hung up on that, I'm not gonna lie. That was, it just worked so perfectly as well, which is the great thing. Even though I think Red Canids actually got the original opening kill, but the bomb did go down. Just about the bomb went down before Safe decided he wanted to kill everybody. So when this tactical pause, technical pause does finish and we commence with the game, we're gonna have Scout, Galil's, Tech9, Deagle. So the usual narrative, MIBR, you've won the pistol round. This is the most important round now, because if you lose this, you put yourself in a very sticky position.
It is true. It is very true. So yeah, I'm curious to see what the approach is going to be. We've obviously had some time to just get yourself in the right space. No tactical chit-chat, but you should at the very least be cleanly prepared for this on the Red Canids side. And it is a formidable buy. It is quite scary. So hopefully something in the back pocket for the team here. They've got the cross smoke. They've got the mini smoke. Door smoke down as well, which is kind of interesting. So a few different avenues for them to maybe be sneaky, but at the moment they are just looking to starve that information.
That's a kind of boxed in right now. A lot of emphasis on playing towards outside. Issue is, if they don't get an opening kill, they're probably gonna really struggle making any headway towards anywhere, really. Like, you've got two players down B, you're set up nicely on the bomb sites, but MIBR have taken a lot of damage, so they're starting to give a little bit more respect. A split A here, joining up with David Deus, who's lurking in lobby, could be super effective, especially if this scout on Henny can take advantage of these low HP players on that A bomb site.
It's very true, yeah, and he'll be looking to do that. Of course, a classically aggressive player. And you can see the whole team sort of frozen, and he's looking for information, but ultimately an opportunity to soften up the MIBR players at the very least. Does have to be careful with that bomb. Maybe can't go as deep as he wanted to. They have sent the Deagle round. A lot of space here towards Heaven. You can see trying to just keep the distraction away while this Deagle comes in. Then maybe slightly overselling it. He picks up the pace. He does find his kill, but nobody else is able to join him, potentially not leaving themselves enough time to get going there.
It just wasn't much time, was there? Like, what, 13 seconds when the first contact was taken on the A-bomb site? Like, it was kind of the time when I threw it back to you, and I saw Nathan patrolling down on B, and them starting to work around A, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Nathan just hits contact in secret, holds that pressure, they wrap A. And then they just took so long to activate that until, and it came to a stage where MIBR, sure, they actually did hold very nicely, but Red Canids, like, it was back against the wall. They had no plan B because of how low they put it down, and that was MIBR just not giving them anything, playing very regimented in that 5 versus 5, even though they didn't have much map control. They just fell on their laurels. They should be also them keeping so many players alive. Economy is looking good. There should be them continuing that theme and getting safe for North in the next round. That was insanity. Okay, spoke to earlier.
And he does go down. That was nearly very silly, but Henny's skill's actually pretty good, I would say. Might be able to do something with it. Bomb crosses down. He's all alone, but I don't think they've tracked him. They might start to clock on. If he moves a bit faster, he can get this plant. And indeed he does. So they'll take that with the minimal investment. Maybe a kill on the card for him here as well. He's having a few opportunities at it. Does land 2 shots, not enough to get the kill. So MIBR will stave it off, but I think even the bomb plant there is a little problematic for them.
It's very weird position to be in for MIBR, because you're kind of like, wouldn't have wanted the bomb down, but then you're like, we have an AWP out. Money's still pretty good, so it's a gentleman's agreement type of round. But I think Red Canids definitely electric at that prospect. They get Henny out with an AWP and kind of all the bells and whistles alongside him. So this one we've got all the meat and potatoes of a game. Does Red Canids show any contestability on Nuke? David Deos, our player to watch. Is this his round where he finally comes into his own, or is Safe going to continue that good performance yesterday?
Well, that answers your question.
A lot of
ever so
answers.
Slightly. Yeah. I think so. Davideus not really matching up just yet. Still early on in the game, and again, it is that tough map, especially if Safe is going to play like this. But you can see it starting to develop. Yesterday we had Lukowski close second, and Exit is the close second here, so could be very problematic. Oh, indeed. That looks kind of like a disconnect, I'm not going to lie. Either that or Henny is just unbelievably unaware. Not much that can be done. He's dead anyway. Regardless of how it comes around, this is looking very much like MIBR win here.
It's like a big anti-strat of a round. Wait, it's not over yet. No. Hold on a second. Okay, coldzera almost just dies to a Molotov. So he's now on PHP. Knifin has to do this all by himself. Not known for being an author. Drop puts an end to some of this madness, and damn, that got very close. But apart from a bit of trolling towards the end, that was a perfect round from MIBR. You have Safe again the opening kill, and you have two reactions out of that. Firstly, it screws Red Canids, because they were going for 4 players outside, 1 lobby. You lose your lobby player within 10 seconds of the round starting. Like, that is worst case scenario, and that means you just have to either commit or just change up your whole plan. And secondly, it feels like MIBR knew exactly what's going on, because they get that kill on David Deas, and Lukowski, why else would he be pushing that aggressively? They had a very good idea of what that plan was for the Canids, and it worked out perfectly. In this round, it's again another good opening.
Oh. Okay, Lukowski able to make it away. I thought they would be after him. Yeah, needless damage. Survives the big damage of the shot, but never a good look. Red Canids slowing things way down here, Freddy. There's not much available for them, I suppose, but hoping MIBR maybe overstep somewhere.
It's kind of exactly what happened when we were in that second round, right? Where Red Canids were just searching for an over peak and an over aggression, but that never came through. And it looks like a lot of the fundamentals are ticked off MIBR in this game so far. Like, we're not overplaying our hands. We're playing quite well and quite tidily on the city side currently. This is a beautiful setup where Safe can turn on a dime and go back towards A if necessary, but he's over towards ramp and it's the right place. First contact, great opening kill. Baiting in drop perfectly. He just needs to make sure and he's going to allow that. Sorry, Safe actually got the kills with the Julies on David Deos as well. Yeah, perfect flawless round. Just what the doctor ordered, especially after you lost 2 in that previous gun round. Lost 3.
Yeah. Yeah, massively. Safe's doing it again though. 9 and 1. Like he's trying to track the numbers from yesterday. I'm pretty sure, like, I think it was 22 and 4. That's what I've got in my head, and I think that is really up there as, you know, in CS2 even one of the better single half score lines. Maybe if you wanted to be super pedantic, you could reduce it down to Nuke itself, and that would give still though a really, really high number. Yeah, I think. What are we on at the moment? I think it's 27. Did someone drop to 27 at some point?
I've seen a lot of 20 plus. I saw Deco go like 20 and 1 once on or like 22 and 2 on Mirage once, and like early days CS2, which was amusing. I actually don't know what the half record would be.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
39's the kill record. I know that for sure. But there it is. That's another. That's double digits found for Safe. He's also just baited in Insani perfectly. coldzera somewhat maybe checks it with a side eye, but it wasn't a full clear. So because of that, we have MIBR taking full control of this round. We've got all of outside control, and Red Canids, where do we go? Ramp. Guess what? Safe has rotated here. This man is omnipresent. He is a seeing eye. What? Sorry, that I was just about to praise this ramp setup with how, like, oh, you know, drops changing up where he plays, and, you know, it's really cool that he's being baited in for different angles, and then Venom Zero just breaks his wrist flicking onto his head.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's so strong that Safe even gives the respect of, like, okay, I'm going to back off. I'm not going to repeat that. He's clearly on another level at the moment. Yeah. But we are starting to see some flaws in the Red Canids T side. Seems like a lot of spawn calling, a lot of initial aggression, just maybe trying to beat spawns or hit like crazy headshots. Some really overconfident peaks is maybe a nice way of putting it. I'm sure, you know, off broadcast we might call it something different, but ultimately it's not working, and MIBR are steamrolling ahead here. They have 2 save. They're going back in for another broken buy, so by all accounts MIBR should move up to 7 if not 8.
We're talking about showing some flaws. Realistically, I haven't seen any positives for Red Canids on their T side yet. For me, there's been no round where I've been like, nice. And a big part of that is MIBR very early on getting these opening kills that are just not even allowing Red Canids to start to default. This is maybe the first rounds where, like, we don't have an opening kill within 20 seconds. And also, look at this. Red Canids call the bluff towards ramp. They're like, yeah, to ramp again. They just go, they run through a smoke. It's quite ballsy, but it works because there's literally nobody there, and they are going to steamroll down towards this B bomb site.
Still, will it work? Lukowski drops 1. Puts the presence of the CT side downstairs. Bomb plant coming in. Item they know about, and he does well to find Safe, taking him down, proving that he is mortal. And Sani trying to track here and finds the headshot. That's clean. 4 versus 3 looks pretty good for MIBR, I would say. They've got to make their way in relatively speedily, and that does mean they might not get a few angles. It's just Venom Zero. Can't get it done. Having a struggle fest, this guy, unfortunately. Defuse will come in. Red Canids, they do well to get that bomb down, but really not coming close to winning any rounds yet.
It's actually so important that Lukowski gets that opening kill and just gives them that advantage. Makes that retake so much easier. And also Insani getting that kill super quickly outside. Like, it's all those small little micro details that add up to a very successful macro retake. Also, the nade blowing off double doors, it allows them to fight sight alongside Lukowski, who was single door very freely. So MIBR, they go to 7th, they get tested, but they still keep 3 alive and show that they are the kings of Nuke in South America.
Exit. Making a bit of a drop down, maybe. Not quite sure.
Don't really know what happened there.
Yeah, one of the plays of all time, because then he dropped down anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really know what he's doing, but there you are. It might work. We'll see. Cold Zero's found Insani in the meantime.
Also, they don't know about Knifen. This is actually looking like a potential victory for Red Canids. Not only have they got 1 opener, but they've doubled down on that affair. The question is, how does the rest of the team react to this information? You've got complete control towards single. The bomb, though, is looking to still maybe head towards A, and it is the right play here because you spread MIBR very thin. Just don't overthink it and play the numbers game.
Oh, exit, that's rough. Should have been a frag for him. Could have been a really big one. Safe downstairs, finds a kill. I don't know what the hell's going on down there, why they're having a scrap. Nowhere near any of the other action. Lukowski has maybe thread the needle. He's just timing around this corner. You'd assume with so many players they'd still keep an eye on Hut anyway. He's in a really good spot. And that push from behind is actually so... Back is turned to 1. Sets himself up for another, but yeah, there's just too many to get through, unfortunately. Safe not around to help, and Red Canids, they'll get there first.
Yeah, that's just the issue with the being in a 3 versus 5 so quickly, that when you go for that retake, you have to rely on an individual getting a molly frag. And that actually shows that maybe if Exit had got that single kill, I didn't think it would have mattered that much, but it shows that it actually would have. It would have mattered massively. But for MIBR, they shouldn't care too much about this. It's Red Canids winning a couple opening duels, and it's their first round on the board in 8 rounds. MIBR, they're still leading. You've still got heaps of economy. You've still got Safe going 12-2. Like, they should be able to reach a 9th. I think the standard for them is 9 rounds on the seaside at a minimum for me right now. Just wondering if they can shake off that one defeat and not allow it to spiral away.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is a big tell now for Red Canids, whether it is just some luck on their side or if they have begun to figure it out. We wouldn't say that they've fully figured it out yet. Safe getting more proactive into this round. So we'll see what he's able to find. Outside shadow spotted. It scares the life out of him. Tries to get the flick around the corner. Doesn't land, but at least has gathered some good information. Of course, able to survive as well. Really key for the AWPer, but it seems we've reached a lull in play.
Very interesting change of round for MIBR. You have sure Safe ramp. That in itself, we noticed that's cool. But it's Drop playing outside of Insani instead of playing ramps. They trust Safe a lot there. And it does allow them to mitigate a lot of danger. Safe now, these rotations, we've been praising them all game. And again, it's successful, but unfortunately, he can't land a killing blow. Just about misses the head of coldzera, but he will get confirmation of them running down towards the B bomb site. MIBR, you gotta be reacting. You gotta get players down here. And currently, Drop doesn't want to take that space because he was left alone for a while. The Safe rotation, dude, this guy is everywhere. You know, like on a football pitch, you check how players are running all across the field. I'd love to see Safe's heat map because he's just everywhere on this map. Will this 4 versus 3, will that opening kill into the bomb site be enough now as his team joined in?
Oh, that's a hell of a shot from Amadeus, though, man. He does get traded, but that might give them something. He does a bit more damage before he goes down as well. Henny has let them all cross safely here. Exit's going to creep in, not giving any attention to this spot, but Henny goes a bit early. Does get the kill eventually. However, his position revealed ahead of time. The bomb is not planted for him here, and they know that. Really nice headshot, but it doesn't matter. Nothing he can do. It was kind of a first line of defense. Needed his teammate to survive a little longer, and it's close for Red Canids, but they are immediately returned on.
Yeah, I mean, that was some raucous shots coming out from many players on Red Canids. But I think the most important factor is just that one opening kill I mentioned when it was in that 4 versus 4. Like, the fact that MIBR could start off that retake in the advantage, they were able to sacrifice Safe to the gods, and they were able to relinquish one headshot and then go, okay, well, we can still overpower the numbers. That's exactly what happens, and it felt like as well in that post plant, Red Canids didn't have a lot of cohesion potentially. Like, I think coldzera got baited in by David Deus, but it's like that 2 versus 3 or what at the end, you know, Henny and coldzera have no sense of consistency around each other. It was just, I hope you both hit your shots, and that's the only way we're going to win the round. And MIBR, their retake is very successful. They are on 8 rounds, 1 away from the number that I called upon them, but they are up against another rifle round.
Yeah, could be dangerous here for sure. Red Canids, at the very least, nipping at their heels. It's just a question of whether that results in anything. Trying to get the fight, and he will indeed find it. Nathan is the unlucky T that steps out into the crosshair. Will fall early, and Sani looking to make a play here as well. So some good positions for MIBR as well as the advantage. Has quietened way down. Really slowed off. Not much for Red Canids on the cards, it would seem. as they do have some utility left. Only the one smoke, though, actually, so what can they really do with this? It looks like a wind down of the clock and potentially burst onto A at the end, but it doesn't feel too good to me.
MIBR just haven't been losing in these 5 vs 4s. Great aggression outside from Insani. He's just calling over his teammates like, guys, lads, anchor down lobby, anchor down A, anchor down ramp. So when this utility comes in, it's very obvious what's going on. That's a really big smoke coming through. Safe cat using a Molotov though. I don't know how that's just happened, but it seems like we should still be okay because even drops now rotate from ramp. MIBR, everybody's here for the party. Bombs down on the bomb side. Davideus and Coldzera potentially just looking to get away with their life. But that's just another round where Red Canids have lost the opening kill and it's all just pitted out, really.
Yeah, they don't seem to have too much of a, you know, clear game plan, I would argue. It seems like they really are just sort of changing an awful lot up on the fly. Nothing really too solid or predetermined. So it's not a great way to play the game, unfortunately. And yeah, there's something awry, there's something missing. They know that. Here comes a timeout, but might be a little too late, fellas. 9 rounds is a really good marker for MIBR. If they go any deeper than this, we start to just say the game's over.
I also certainly believe, and I think I've mentioned it, there was the one round where I mentioned it clearly where I was like, okay, this just seemed like an anti-Strava round. I feel like MIBR really know what's going on. Like the whole lack of re-aggression in the mid rounds. Sure, Insani did push outside that last round, but apart from that, it's been Red Planet just searching and hoping for someone to push into their crosshairs. That's never happened. I feel like MIBR are really prepped for this game. Like they know exactly what's going on. Maybe with 2 more rounds to go, maybe something for the T side, but drop. He denies any early presence, and it's very much a Hail Mary play from Coldzera towards ramp, and that's another opening kill for MIBR. We all know how these go.
Yes, indeed. No, but I think, you know, you talk about the preparedness. These guys will know each other very, very well.
True.
Of course, coming into this. But I think the big thing is that MIBR, past few days, since Pro League type thing, proving that this map is really one of their best. And they can play it to a very, very good level. So I think that they will be a formidable force on this. And it scales up very nicely for them because they will have a super safe map for playoffs. I think Ancient is also a pretty well-played map for them. So their pool is looking really good on the MIBR side of things, which is a worrying prospect for, you know, the onlookers at the moment.
As we mentioned, they've had a pretty middling season, so getting these last 2 wins would put them in a very... a much better position than they are now. It'd get them out of that deadlock between other teams. Exit just how they've got a kill. Instead, though, it's a really lovely sequence of play that's allowed Davideus finally to unleash hell on this server. Insani, that Molotov should finish him off, but it misses. Lukowski lurking, snake in the grass around the smoke, gets 1 kill and survives. Now, look at this utility and the rotation. It's forced them to get off the bomb plant, but they've still held securely. Safe. What? Venom Zera? How are you not hearing this? He was clicking his scope. Everyone should have been able to hear that, and luckily the gods have looked down upon him because it's only a tag through the wall, and he snaps around and does not allow for the second opportunity to come in favor of the AWPer.
Definitely the most maddening round we've had all half long. Yeah, extremely chaotic. Red Canids playing in that, though, I suppose. And as you say, some luck on their side to get it over the line. Second round is good. I mean, give me 3 here. Maybe I hold on to a tiny bit of hope for you, but still not so sure. It's only 2, then yeah, they're knocking on the doors of victory, as it were. Safe opens up once again. Not quite the takeover game that he had yesterday, but it's still pretty damn good. Davideus will drop exit in an untraded affair, however, and that really does make a difference now. Clean advantage for the Red Canids. A bit of control on A as well. That bomb will make its way out shortly. Still not the best looking round in the world, but this is another winnable situation for them.
A lot of it pins down on how can Safe get himself working in this round, because they know drops obviously in lobby, and there you go. A nice little drop shot onto the Orpo. Knife him. Wielding that up very successfully. I don't know. There's not much time here. Drops in a 1 versus 2. He's done great work in this round already, but that's it. That's Red Canids clawing together a third. Will this be enough? We're going to find out in the second half.
Welcome back in. Red Canids did find themselves some comfortability, a small cushion to work with. It could have been absolutely dreadful for them if they only picked up one round, but a couple in a row is quite nice. So we'll see here what they're able to do as they move on to this much more preferred CT side for most teams at the very least. MIBR, the pistol could be their gateway to victory if they are able to indeed take it. They look very good in the first half with the pistols. The second half, it is a different beast. And they gain the ramp control here. Coldzera, man. Robbed of the opportunity. Maybe robbed again here as they're moving a bit too fast for him to secure anything. Yeah, it's rough. They confirm his location. It's a split coming in, which is sort of a wild strategy usually, but on the pistols, I can see it working. Henny gets caught reloading, and it is another one, like before Julie's, that is just completely catching Red Canids off guard. They know what's up. They must have been doing some real work, some real experimentation on the pistols, because this is a very, very clean round from them.
So, it's just Cold Zero doesn't get a single kill in the round, dude. He had 3. Oh, that's gonna be a rough one going on to the second map, having to kind of brush that off. I don't even know what to say. Like, you know, Cold Zero had the information at the bottom, right? He saw Safe walking back. Like, they actually knew exactly what was going on. And then they just all die. At MIBR, they were very aware of playing being top heart. And Sandy gets a crazy timing on the guy Heaven. Like, not even crazy timing, he just lunacy. Yeah, that's probably it. That's probably map 1 done, to be honest. That's, yeah. And especially when we're coming into, well, the final day of gameplay here, it's imperative that these teams who are all squabbling for, I think it's around 5th, I think it's around 3rd to 6th it is, or like 2nd to 6th. They're all very close in, or the exact same. It's very important that they get these very key victories, and MIBR today have come to play. And on this eco, it should just be a testament of that.
We would hope. There's a few bullets. I could hear it in your voice that you were like, should I fully send this or maybe keep it safe? Because there's a couple of bullets that have landed like that are a bit dangerous here. You hope that MIBR should be able to still clean up house here. Drops picked up an AK. We are being very cheeky though with like a tech and, you know, the Julies and all this sort of stuff. It is certainly not helping your case. Not a lot of time left for MIBR, to be honest. They do have to get a move on. Exit has been patiently waiting in this corner all round long, and he gets his reward. Drop will see them off, so it's all good in the end. They maybe do quite well there to actually freeze and just take a moment to, you know, have a look around, look to your left, look to your right, and you see a few of your teammates are quite low, so maybe I shouldn't just send it into these USPs and give them an AK and then it all goes down the toilet. But in the end, MIBR, they do well to just keep that clean.
It's always important. You're 11, you're 10-3 up. Don't make those silly Billy mistakes. Red Canids, have you come out to play for us? CT side, first gun round. Even if they do win this, it's the definition of a little bit too little too late. And how does David Deos get that first kill? Fully blind, doesn't even kill the first entry, kills the second. And even though those kills did float in favor of Red Canids, MIBR, they fight back and drop a hat trick, looks to secure map point very early on.
Yeah, looking good here. Venom Zero, though, he could certainly clutch up. Again, they are waiting patiently. They've got plenty of time. Just grab a freeze and they know the tendencies. They know that these Red Canids players do like to move aggressively. Drop is going to drop a smoke, trying to bait Venom Zero out into the open. He's not quite committing just yet. They'll retrieve the bomb. They'll retrieve another smoke, actually, between the two of them. So, could be workable here. Drop smokes onto the site. Going to go in for the plant. That nade should take him. Oh, no way. It doesn't find him. Trade's got to be here, though, because Venom Zero, he's now confident. It's a creep forwards, and he'll get the spray down. Huge 1 versus 2 for Red Canids to just give them some hope, some signs of life. And you never know, it might mount the comeback here.
Such a weird round, because, like, it's not one of those rounds where Venom Zero saves them. And it's like, oh, you know, that round was never winnable. Dude, that should have been a Red Candid round so much easier. Like, they got those opening kills onto the bomb site. They had the advantage. They kept on basically swinging punches perfectly. And then, like, you kind of look up and you're sitting there, you're like, Drop's just got 3 kills and it's a 2 versus 1. So, sure, Venom Zero has done well, but it's a systemic issue. Like, you're going to have these individuals save you, but I think ultimately MIBR are just going to bounce back, and I do believe this is a little bit too late. I'd love to be proved wrong, though. I would love to see a resurgence. Maybe Cold Zero get off 2 kills. Henny get the ball rolling going into the second map. David Deos, you know, our player to watch. Even though he is at the top of the scoreboard for his team, it's not exactly the hardest feat when you've only got 4 rounds. But look, it's the first round on the seaside. It's the gun round, but keeping only 1 player alive does have shockwaves going through the economy because of that.
MIBR, now would be the time for them to pull out one of their fancy rounds. I think this could be a pretty telling moment for how this half is actually going to go for the Red Canids. I'm sure MIBR have got something set up and ready to go for moments like this. It's going to be the bread and butter of a South American team that's played a lot of international Counter-Strike. You know, this is where you're going to be able to upset your opponents and win out those sneaky rounds. You definitely need them in the big games. So we'll see what the plan is. They've got Insani quite far up, all things considered. Not a lot of utility spent to get him here, it feels like. Smokes will come in. It's sort of the wider, not quite the L diagonal smokes, right? But maybe a variation on the L smokes with that mini control coming in. Just a threat. It feels like with 3 smokes, you're going to send the entire team there, but it's not really the case now.
What? That is insane! VenomZero gets his head rocked. And they continue the pain train forward on ramp. MIBR, it is a ruse. They send their masses towards ramp, and even though they are being aggressed, they don't miss a beat. And well, Scriv, you summed it up perfectly. You hit the nail on the head. You foreshadowed this round to a T. There's a little gimmick that's come out. There's the individualism flowing for MIBR. And it's exhibited by the fact it's almost a team ace. When Lucauzi got picked up in his roster, I think one of the talking points was, damn, that's a lot of firepower. And it's just being portrayed, and Red Canids are on the receiving end, unfortunately.
It is most unfortunate, yeah. I definitely foresaw something like this, that they would, you know, experiment, use something a bit different. Again, they really have a good read on the Red Canids' tendencies, in the sense that when something is going down on, like, the other side of the map, or even sort of near them, they make moves. They like to get aggressive. They like to look for timings, you know, and maybe catch someone facing the wrong way or lurking around. And MIBR do a really good job of overselling the outside hit, that they were doing something in yard, whether that is getting the garage control, which is maybe what those smokes are designed for, or sending the entire team down secret, yeah? And that wasn't the case. And Red Canids sort of didn't necessarily walk into them, but were not poised and ready for where and when the attack came. So really, really nice from MIBR to just put an awful lot of thought into that low buy round. They've got Insani downstairs here, just holding out. Once again, a really good position for them.
It's a great position, but VenomZero does get a bit of revenge. He's like, yeah, I'm not just going to get one tap this round. I'm going to at least hold my line. But seemingly Nathan was not aware of him being down. But wait, did 2 players just drop vent there? Yeah, it appears that was the case. And for Red Canids, it might actually be their saving grace. Drop, unfortunately, is just he's too low HP to assertively take that duel. And MIBR, that was a great construct of a round. But when it mattered the most, it all fell apart as Red Canids isolated the duels pretty much all over the map.
Yeah, which is something they've really been struggling with, so it's kind of cool to see that they were able to do that. Not quite out of the woods just yet. Exit will break the windows, get that smoke down, get that bomb down, but Davideus just finds him on the spam. Not much that he can do about that, unfortunately. At the very least, it will give MIBR some cash to think about into the next round. I don't rightly know what with a bit of back and forth here. Yeah, that they'll necessarily have enough to buy, but they might still go for it given the amount of rounds they've got built up.
Yeah, it was a weird one. They got 2k in total from that previous round. Is this really going to warrant a purchase? Like, no one's really in a position to full buy apart from Lucauzi. Exit, 2.9, safe 2.5. Even though you are in a position where traditionally you force buy here with your loss bonus, when you take a look at your economy, and you take a moment and a tactical pause to be like, well, guys, that last round kind of sucked. And also just talk about what you want to achieve in this round. I think you should be good for a purchase next. 1900 loss bonus going into round 19 if we ever get there, because even though we do have only 2 sets of armor, MIBR, we know they can pack a punch when it comes to these Tech 9s.
It's a nice reference, bro. Big Zombies fan back in the day.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. It was a good time. It was a
Simpler
good time.
times.
Well, this is true. This is true, man. Ooh, Henny. Nice transfer from him. He has had a struggling game. Certainly not one that you could potentially point out, but I think as you kind of mentioned at the half, it felt a bit strange. His AWPing presence has kind of been non-existent throughout this entire game, which is a bit crazy to say. Should have had it. Venom Zero, though. He's got the angle, man. He knows where to stand so he doesn't get caught up, and he's now spotted Lucasi. The nade is not quite going to go deep enough. So, potential for another bomb plant. Probably not going to happen, though. Cold's got a good angle here and will indeed take him down. So, just a few consolation rounds at the moment, it feels like. There's not really an awful lot to speak about on the Red Canids side, but at the very least, just building a bit of something going into the second map of this series, right? Maybe creating some kind of hope for the map that we've got coming up next.
I think like people don't realize how important that kind of is sometimes. Like just remember how winning felt, especially with MR12. Yeah. Like, dude, you can sit there at the half and it's like 9-3 and you're like, I can't even remember what's happened this half. Like, we just lost. So it's good to see that like they just remember how it feels once more. And look, they might actually make this quite close. Round difference could be very important with how so many teams are very even. But this is looking like MIBR want to end it here. A-Pop completely catches them with their pants down. Cold Zero, though, and with the fast rotation from Heaven, this is perfect. Henny just drops down. He has an AWP, but he still does not use it. It's the 5-7.
I don't know what is going on, but fair enough. Like, it works to a certain extent, but yeah,
it's perfect.
We have to. It might be one of those. We got to go back, mate, in the half time or like the break in between, and just have a track of how many AWP kills he actually found. Seems he's on a bit of a break from it, but this will be one of the first rounds, one of the first opportunities to see him really have some space to work. One would hope, especially because they are actually going outside. And again, he's his own worst enemy. It's too good of a flashbang. They were all ready to swing into him. Here they come, however. So hopefully for Henny, he can get 1 or 2 on the board this AWP again for the follow-up map to just really build the confidence. Lucasi, hell of a shot from him. He'll lose one of his teammates in the interim here. They're actually not going to fully dedicate by the looks of things, just leaving Lucasi down there at T-Red to maybe find another head. The bomb itself has pulled away.
Is it flame to say to ask? Is that Henny's first AWP kill of the game?
Possible.
Actually, might be very possible.
Yeah.
But no, look, like MIBR. Sure, they're on the T side. It is more difficult, but it is definitely not. These last few rounds aren't that one-sided affair. Like, from the performance we had from both teams on either extremity of one playing amazing, one playing quite poorly, no matter what half, no matter what map it was, like, you're always going to have MIBR surging. So it's good to see that Red Canids have awoken from their slumbers. I guess, do we start? Do I pose the question of, when do you believe?
Maybe 10, I think. That's what I'm saying. If it goes 12-10, then maybe I'm starting to believe. Which it very much could so after this round, actually. If they get a clean one here, deny the bomb plant, it could open up. It could open up for sure. So MIBR got to watch themselves, and it was a map-to-map basis, but I saw them against Crew yesterday really just you know, completely flip and maybe start to get a bit lazy in their approach, and that's potentially happening again here.
Yeah, this is definitely the round where I think this is when, if there's ever belief, this is when you should be starting. And David Deus, that is a great opening pick. Exit tries to get aggressive by himself. There is no ounce of support for him. It's a solo one-man mission, and he gets bested. So because of that, 1:10 on the clock, and for MIBR, they're in a man disadvantage, and oh, it gets worse. They have no map control and one smoke to work with as they try to progress outside. This is nightmare fuel of a round to be in, I'm not gonna lie.
Not enjoyable at all. Gonna come down to winning out some nasty 1v1s, really. They've gone as best they possibly can. It's actually kind of a nice smoke. It covers off Mini. They've recovered another one from somewhere else. Oh. So I guess they must have dropped them in the same spot. So it ends up being a nice wide smokes to work with. Again, fakes out a couple of angles. Are they trying to sneak in Mini? Are they going down secret? Are they just making a garage play? You don't rightly know. And he lands a tag. Molotov in. Oh, they're going through it. That's certainly one of the ways of doing it. I mean, they set up for the peak in the Molotov, which is a bit wild to see, but at least, you know, speaks to their confidence and the sense of protocol, as it were. Drop with this bomb. Whoa, he hits the roof. Oh. He hits the roof. It's not a good plant at all. He's not safe if they'd gone for the peak, but he panicked. He did not expect to get stuck there. I'll tell you that much for free. They do manage to get the bomb down, though, in the nick of time. They're keeping them at bay here. Lukowski in a good position. Finds two off the rip, and it's all down to coldzera. All of a sudden, MIBR have recovered the round back out of thin air, and they will take the victory off the back of it. Incredible stuff, Freddie.
Dude, that was one of the craziest, like, sequence of 20 seconds I've seen in my life. You have, like, as you mentioned, the bomb plant just about going down, and that was all off the back of a setup swing through a Molotov. I think you put it perfectly. You went, that's certainly one way of doing it. And then that was their real theme for the rest of that post plant. And they got really lucky that I don't know what the call was. It was a cool setup, but Red Canids didn't play anyone towards ramp there, actually. They had 3 players on A, outside player and AWP. And it would have been great if they went A. Issue is they go down B, and that means there's not many. The rotations are very slow. And yeah, even though there's missed utility players running in Molotovs, nades hitting their own teammates, they're crisp and they just hit all their shots. And unfortunately, David Diaz, our player to watch, even though he opened up that round, he was not able to do anything more to secure them potentially overtime as they fall on the 8th round.
Yeah, definitely a rough one. I think it is cool to see Red Canids getting back into things, and maybe if they start off on the CT side here, it will give them a bit more to work with. They seemed far more comfortable on that CT side for sure. But, of course, a lot of questions around the conjecture. MIBR's Nuke looking really good over the past, I mean, you could say month, right, to be honest with you. Now things, it will depend moving into this second map. We're going to take a little bit of a break. Make sure you stick around. This could get very, very tight now. Red Canids giving us a taste of what they are capable of. We'll see you in a few.
And welcome back. If you just missed, we had Nuke up first in this best of 2, and MIBR quite handedly took it over the line. It got a little bit close at the end, sure, but they were the best team through and through on Nuke. So now it's going to be very exciting as we go on to the second map. Are Red Canids going to come up and play?
Yeah, that is kind of the big question here. Let's sort of reveal the map for you guys. We knew this ahead of time ourselves, but, you know, maybe nice to get it out for everyone. And, of course, it will be Anubis here. So a middle ground kind of map, I think, for both of these teams. It is actually the highest rep map for MIBR, so quite nice for them in that sense. Couple victories picked up at Pro League, but it was hard fought, very, very hard fought on this map for them. So maybe not the safest kind of pick. It feels like that Nuke is in that realm, but all the same, hoping for a bit more competition here on this map. This was a pretty decent one at Pro League as well for Red Canids. So hopefully it should bring a bit more of a level, but ultimately we just saw Red Canids play with a lack of, I think, identity, a lack of any solid game plan. It felt like they were very much playing by feel, playing by instinct, and it just didn't really work for them. Definitely on that T side, you know, they were Red an awful lot of the time. MIBR just individually were able to really, really find those gaps, you know, and exploit them was the key thing. For MIBR, they weren't necessarily just relying on the setups, but there was a lot of really nice rounds in there from MIBR and keeping them away from bomb sites and all this sort of important stuff as well. So I do worry a little bit for the Red Canids. Maybe if they get, you know, the favorable side, that T side here on Anubis, it could be a better story for them, but I am still quite confident in the MIBR 2-0, as it were.
Yes, I do want to see Red Canids become a little bit more competitive. And look, like, I think you hit the nail on the head. It was a systemic issue on map number 1. Sure, you had the individuals for MIBR flexing their muscles and getting those opening kills. And then we just sit there in like a 4 versus 5 for, I don't know, 40 seconds and not do anything. Yeah. And it's like, you just kind of like, what actually was the game plan here? And I found myself, I think, certainly the first 7 rounds, it was 7-0. And I just sat there, I was like, legitimately, what was the game? Like, what have we been seeing from Red Canids? And I think at the end of Nuke, they started winning. They gave themselves the taste of victory that they were finding solace in finally. They couldn't get it to overtime, but they still did streak a few rounds together. And now starting on the CT side, the less favorable side, granted, on Anubis, but can they step up to the plate and continue on that upward trajectory that they lay out for us on Nuke?
The question of the evening, I am sure. Just waiting to get live here. We are obviously in the game. Everyone looks to be ready, but a small technical issue just holding us back slightly. One of the things I think MIBR really, really did well with was the pistols. Absolutely fantastic look from them in that sense. Sure, some wacky strats, but certainly seemed to be something that they had worked on, you know, not just kind of making it up as they went along. Really, really great pistols from them. And I think it just sort of set the tone for the beginning of both halves to completely catch Red Canids and just, you know, gain control of the game. In those early rounds, it was very, very valuable for them with just, yeah, some strats that you wouldn't necessarily expect. So maybe we see a little bit more of that here.
This is a really interesting, like, middle ground of a map, but MIBR have looked pretty rough since coming back from Pro League. You know, losing to the likes of Insanity, Sharks, Bestia on LAN. And they've also previously lost two Red Canids on this map, and they did look very good on it in Pro League though. Some really good victories against Spirit, man. Like M80 in form, Heroic, 9Z. Those are some solid victories on LAN. But Red Canids, they got that 13-1 over Furia. But the CT side on B, it shouldn't last long. Venom's error, the fact he gets 1 there is actually really impressive. But through the smoke, MIBR get pelted with a barrage of bullets. So now we see ourselves in a 2 versus 4 post plant.
Ooh, nice find from Insani. Oh, getting some big damage onto Henny at range. That's pretty monstrous here. He's gathered some good information as well. The one big thing is that Nathan's got this kit, so there's no massive rush for the CT side. Insani ready and waiting for this fight down behind. Can't quite nail it. He's doing so much damage. The kills are escaping him. In comes one. Just runs out of ammo, unfortunately. Safe spots. There's no one on that bomb. A quick headshot landed, but a quick return headshot as well. There is that kit available. Thank goodness Nathan didn't go down, because I think this one would have been way too close to get over. But Red Canids, by the skin of their teeth, will indeed find it.
If Insani just had a few more bullets, he does tremendous. That's the word. I kind of mixed terrible and tremendous together there for a second. I don't really know what happened, but
it's late, man. It's late. It's gonna happen, you know.
Bro, this is the morning for me. No, I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad. But he does do like really good work, and it's just like if he had a bullet or two left, that round's a different story. Also, just great shooting at the end there. I thought the 1 versus 2 was very much alive with the HP at disposal. But MIBR, David Deus, that's an opening kill. And this flashbang, ruinous. Knife him, fully blinded, drop, closing down. Runs out of bullets again, but luckily he has so many players behind him, it doesn't seem to matter. And this time, it is another 4 versus 2, but it's in favor of MIBR.
Bomb goes down. Quietly on into proceedings as well. And you can see Red Canids actually starting to back away. They're going to give it. That's rough. That is very rough. You know, on your second round defense of the pistol victory, going for the save is never really a nice feeling, but does have to happen here. If they knew how low some of these players were, it'd be a different tale, I'm sure, but obviously they don't. So they have to give it. MIBR maybe slightly confused. I don't know. Does it feel too early for a save? Would you not just, like, try and go for this? You're a bit screwed in the next round anyway. So, like, what's your thoughts on that? Would you just send it here regardless?
I've got a very unpopular opinion. I love a save, man. I love a save.
Okay.
I know.
Popular.
Yeah, I know. Shoot me. But I have this whole, like, I think it's maybe, I think a part, I have two sides of me. The one of just like, go and kill him. And then the one of like, uber tactical maybe. And like, uber, like, you know, that's an issue. Shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have ever swung there. Like, play with your team, etc. And for me, it's like, a save fits into that of like, I have this thing that I've just made up along the way of just like, the retake fallacy, where you get that kill in that 2 versus 4, right? And, oh yeah, we can get this, we get retake. No, you can't. Like, realistically, you're not going to win that. So now in this round where, as a City side, you lose the second round, you're in an awful position economically. You're supported by the fact that you can save over a little bit more weaponry. You can get a little bit more drops. Normally, in these type of situations, you just see five 5.7s. But here, we have a little bit more potential success for Red Canids. And for me, that's a big Freddy thumbs up.
Hell yeah. That's fair, man. That's fair. I think you've got a point, you've got an opinion, and it's pretty well fleshed out there, in all fairness. I think from maybe a competitive standpoint, I would potentially agree with you, but from obviously like a broadcasting entertainment standpoint, it is a 100%. Little boring. But everyone does it for a reason, you know, even here in South America where they love a force buy and whatnot, you'd maybe expect them to be liberal with their economic decisions in a situation like that, and it's not the case. So, you know, it really does reverberate across the world. Oh, that's a bit awkward. Davideus not as safe as he thought. Yeah, and absolutely should know that. And he's slightly off center, so that's really going to cost them. B bomb site is super vulnerable now.
That is, he's going to be a big telling off for that in the morning. And, oh, this is... So yeah, it's another position where it's like, save. Man, that round was good. Like, it was a little bit awkward timing where Red Canids go for this 3-man A push, kind of as MIBR are prepping to go towards the B bomb site. But that round could have had contestability, but David Deus just, yeah, like, so if viewers don't understand, Pillar is a very strong position on Anubis because you can play either side of it, and normally where you just be out in the open, you can actually isolate duels very effectively and catch players off guard. David Deus, obviously there, misread his situation immensely. so much so that he's peeking out while his back is turned to connector. And so because that kill gets taken, you see a speed up from MIBR, and they're like, oh, guys, the B bomb site's empty. And then they can revert their attention very quickly to this connector push, and it just all falls apart for the CT side.
Yeah, tough for Red Canids, man. It's not been the start that they desired. They did so well in that pistol. And it has crumbled. It has slipped through their fingers. They've given control of the half across to MIBR, which is obviously not a nice place to be in, especially given this map, given the context of where this sort of best of two series has been at. Really quite an important one for Red Canids. Again, a point that we lent on is the fact that when it comes to the bigger teams, they've actually not looked that great, you know. I think against the rest of the field, the rest of the playoff teams that they're going to be really competing with, I think they've only got maybe like 2 out of 6 maps, you know. So not a fantastic look. Maybe that stat's even worse now against MIBR with how that previous map's just gone. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough for them and just other teams' opinions of them as well. Slow round coming out here, Freddie.
Yeah. Should be fine, so I'm going to continue that conversation. Doing a bit of quick, I'm assuming head-to-head holds weight in this league phase.
Sure.
Red Canids, if they lose this, they will be 6th, because Fluxo, on the same score as they would be, 19 wins to 11 losses, have beaten Red Canids in both of the head-to-heads, 13-7 and 13-2. They also have a way better round difference. So MIBR are currently playing for 2nd place, whereas Red Canids are, if they lose this, they're 6th, which is, you know, that puts them at the bottom of like the better teams, right? You've got that kind of top 6 of the big dogs. Maybe Audit could have been there, but no. And Red Canids will be the bottom of that, and MIBR looking to rival Pain.
Exit looking for the entry. There is an aggressive move here, but Red Canids not going past the threshold of main. I do kind of like this setup, and MIBR have to be careful with their approach towards A, but feels like the first big proper round here between these two teams. You know, economies are even, buys are even. So you can feel it a little bit. There is some tension here. Drop has made his way into Dark. Might not expect him this fast. He's not looking to overstep his mark just yet. Lukowski goes down on the edge of that smoke. Unfortunately, I believe his own break of it as well. So can't tell you how many times I've seen those smoke break plays go negatively, you know, backfire on the guy that threw the nade. To be honest, it happens more often than not, it feels like.
I feel like as a B-site player, you're just so primed for that to happen. And now it's about just kicking it over the line for Red Canids. This, like, how many players can we keep alive? Not looking good, because Insani, he's simply insane with his aim. But a lumbered spray onto Henny means that Red Canids should probably get away with 3 alive, and Safe is looking to save the AWP into the next round. So for Red Canids, right off the bat, this is way better than Nuke. Not only have you won the pistol round, but you've actually converted the first gun round. So even though you did lose the following buy against after the pistol win, you keep yourself in conversation substantially more early doors than you did on Nuke, because it was 8-0 on Nuke with MIBR, and like already you kind of call the game over at that stage, whereas now we have some fight back.
Indeed. It is good to see. I think we sort of worry a little bit as things develop for the Red Canids side. Not quite sure what to expect. They're a less consistent element. So it is good to see them finding competition early on. MIBR maybe going to have to go a bit deeper here into the strat book in the early stages. They are back with a bye, but absolutely do need to find this one as it started a little negatively. The nade lands well. Red Canids don't know it, but they've actually done a lot of damage there.
Okay, forcing the issue. Drop was a menace on Nuke, and he's looking to lead the charge here onto this straight A execute. No messing around with MIBR in the early stages, and they've actually even up the scoreline, but sorry, the 4 versus 4, but HP dwindling. Lucalzi's on 11, and the rotations are fierce. Red Canids have taken control towards B main. That's allowed for everybody to rotate over. We're trying to lay down further utility to try and help our case, but MIBR, you're going to have to reset here. Or if you continue going through with your mission, there's only going to be failure on the other line.
Looking very good here for Red Canids. The bomb is unable to commit. That's maybe a good thing, to be honest with you. Gives MIBR a chance to reapproach the round if they so choose. It may well be a saving situation once again for them, unfortunately. I think that is the case. So, Red Canids looking pretty good. Guns have come out. It's not like these rounds have necessarily been tough or close for them even. So, a fantastic sort of showing in the early stage of Anubis on this weaker side. So, MIBR, they are stuck. They are very stuck indeed. Red Canids can even things up.
I think it's going to be a very difficult spot for MIBR, not only in this following round, but into the next gun round, right? Because we've got an MIBR who have saved twice, so he's got the AWP out, yet to be effective with it, which is also a narrative. But you've got exit saving, so you're going to have a very disjointed economy going into round 8, which would normally, in a normal setting, be the gun round. However, here, it's potentially MIBR thinking, we might just have to force buy because of all this weird economy we've decided to go for, the saves. And yeah, there it is. It's just a straight up force buy around the AK and the AWP, keeping the pressure there.
See what they can do with this. I think they're quietly hoping again for some aggression to come their way. It's not really going to be the case. The Red Canids have done well playing this half and half game. You know, the setups are quite far forwards, but the moves themselves really quite disciplined. Giving up the mid control could be a dangerous prospect in all fairness. There's plenty of utility available for MIBR here. Exit baits out a smoke. What is the game plan, man? I think they're trying to see what they can get away with. Insani going to move through a molly, I think. Takes a fair bit of damage, but we're getting some decent mid control down here and could really run amok with said control.
I think we end B here. Issue is these smokes and connector are brutal. It's going to allow for Knifin and David Deos over on A to start clearing out A main. They kind of have to as well because they've got no mid control. So their hands being forced, but it's a positive reaction for Red Canids. They need to start doing this now. There is a smoke in A main still, but our attention focused towards B. Henny's being torn away because of that mid presence, and now here comes the full execute. 3 from B main, 2 from connector. Coldzera spotted 1, swinging in for the fences, and he will be rewarded with the opening kill. 15 seconds left. Utility still there for Red Canids, so MIBR not able to immediately entry onto this bomb site, and Venom Zera is just halting them in their place. USP out, and the 4K will give Red Canids their 4th round.
Hey, it's looking pretty legit here, man. The individuals, again, are starting to perform stronger, which was something that we commented on pretty heavily on Nuke. So, yeah, I think Red Canids can be pretty satisfied with how they are displaying themselves here. Taking the lead now as well. It is a solid innings thus far, and I think it's kind of set to continue. They're even, you know, denying bomb plants and really not allowing MIBR to get into the game. So, bar the force buy, this has been a pretty one-sided affair. Yes, it's 4-3, but I think the picture is very, very different. You know, Red Canids lose the disastrous round. You know, the one round you don't want to lose at the start of a half, of course. And it costs them quite a lot, both in terms of the score, but also just financially, also just in the game itself, in a monetary sense. Hold 0. Gotta be a bit careful. That's a nice transfer from him, actually. I thought it was his supporting element that got that kill. Not the case. Exit is going to try his best to create something here. Doesn't happen. Bit of damage, but Red Canids, they continue their winning ways.
Yeah, this is a real shape-up in performances. Safe's yet to really get anything done with the AWP, and he's had a consistent AWP on this server. He could get the AWP out again. He can get AWP and armor just about. 5.4k is all you need. No utility though, so that could be a worry. I'm kind of as we do the tech pause, I'm kind of casting my mind back to 2 rounds ago when we had that B pop and Venom Zero got the 4k, and it's like MIBR had everything. They had Henny rotated away. They had only 2 players on the B bomb site. They were quite slow at actively getting out of B main. I think there was util, but not for the whole time. And I feel like, yeah, they had everything. Sure, they had lower weaponry, but where were the Tech 9s closing the space? You know, all of that jazz. How are we allowing Venom Zero to get a 4k? And potentially, why are we doing all of that with 15 seconds left? It definitely doesn't help. So, not the MIBR from Nuke. Sure, their T side wasn't great on map 1, but I was just like, yeah, it's Nuke, whatever. Go on to Anubis, and it's very important to have a good T side. And Red Canids are not allowing them that equity just yet.
No, that is true. That is a very good point you raised, to be fair. And I want to say, could be wrong, maybe I fact check myself here live on air. I think when they played Crew yesterday, they started off on the T side. So let me just corroborate that, I suppose. Actually a little difficult to tell because it's just one map, but
I don't think they played Crew on Anubis, did they?
No, on Ancient, sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Just in the sense that, you know, did they pull off the comeback? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they started T side, right? So it does seem like that's a bit of an issue, and then they made the comeback on the CT end. Yeah, so a little problematic, the T sides, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm kind of taking a look at their Pro League results, and it seems like they weren't massively like dominant on the T side. Against Spirit, it was actually 6-6 on both halves, and they got it done in overtime. But yeah, it doesn't seem like, I don't know, is that maybe something to keep an eye out for MIBR T sides? You got a change recently. That's always
it's true. It's very true. Yeah.
And somewhat inexperienced IGL. I am correct in saying Drop is the IGL, right? Or have I completely... No, wait, what am I on about? Sorry.
I think it's Exit, I'm pretty sure. You've got me doubting myself now as well, to be fair.
Oh no, Drop took up the IGLing role, right? Yeah, dropped the IGL. Again,
checking live on air.
That was like a somewhat recent change, if I'm not mistaken. This year, as in.
Yeah. I think you might be right. That's always something that's a little difficult for us to track, as it were.
I think it just kind of came out of nowhere. It was like, oh, drops the IGL now. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, fair. Like, it feels like maybe a role that he can move into. At one point, a little bit of a heroic kind of player. And a bit of a prospect, a bit of a hope, but never really panned out in the way that he potentially wanted. And, you know, maybe a review of his career after getting dropped by Furier, of course. So, yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I'll hold my hands up and say, you know, I didn't rightly know that he was IGLing. So he's a very young, very inexperienced player to go for that kind of role. You are correct.
Yeah, I think it's very new. Yeah, I'm just pulling up the interview here. He was, guys, I need to be more active. I need to play in better roles. I can't be Ank anymore. I need to talk more. So he became IGL because he was already talking so much. He was the second caller. I was talking more than Exit during the mid-rounding and stuff like that. So we need to change something. So we're not going to change the roster. So that's why I came to the IGL role.
Well, there you go. And pushing pretty heavily for Lucasi, I would imagine. And yeah, I think to circle it back and bring the point back, that it's a bit easier, one would argue, to just kind of be like, okay, what roles do you like on the CT side? What roles do you really not like? So we can try and, you know, work it out so that he's not just coming in and, you know, replacing everyone in their spots. I don't think Lucasi is quite that player yet. He may well get there. But in terms of the T sides, it can be a lot harder, you know, to figure out where you want to go in the pack. In the Fluxo side, he was a super confident, super aggressive bomb site opener, as it were. Not necessarily the first one in, but on this team, Insani's kind of doing a little bit more of that. But then it does feel on the past couple of maps, he's been playing more of a lurking role. But there's Lucasi just kind of showing maybe why, yes, he should have that primary role. But you can see on the other side of things, in comes Insani. So it's very nice when they prove your point in the round, in the game. Meanwhile, on the site itself, coldzera trying to hold the line. Will it be enough here? He's bought a bit of space.
It's really sharp shooting from coldzera there. Like, that double is honestly quite impressive from the position he was in. But MIBR seeking to prove your point live on air. And a big talking point of MIBR is just the amount of firepower that this roster wields right now. And they're exhibiting it on this round. Like, you know, so many different players can step up at so many different times. It started off by Insani and Lucasi, but Save shows up. Sure, he's had a pretty slow game while wielding the AWP, but he can still excel with the rifle. And that's MIBR breaking through after losing 4 rounds in a row, showing us that they still have some skin in the game.
Absolutely, sir. This is looking very, very good indeed. MIBR able to bring some competition. The timeout issue may well have been theirs, and it might have solved all their problems.
It was. There was a player on the floor dead, I saw.
Ah, well, there you are.
What a nade. What was Lucasi?
They've done well on the nade. Both sides have been pretty nasty on the nades, I have to be honest. Oh. And he doesn't find it while blind. It's another find for exit here. Drop flying in. Takes a leg. An overface from Henny kind of has to do something, unfortunately. Probably will be a save in the 4 versus 2. So MIBR getting back to back and closing this gap.
It's kind of shocking as well. Red Canids have no economy. In
That's
that 2 versus 3,
isn't it, really?
Yeah. I'm saying in that 2 versus 3 in the previous round, I kind of would have liked for them to save, but that's again me being very facetious with saves. Evidently, the retake was not possible. And yeah, so because they don't bring anything into this round, you go full Monty, you bring everything out, and look at this. You come away with nothing to really show for it, and then a A1S and FAMAS. That's it. No util, no kit. Like, no one has any money. You're going to get a purchase not in this following round, in round 11, but you will get one at least in the final round and a half. And in this round, it's... I was going to say damage, but damage doesn't actually matter. VenomZero and coldzera are in a very difficult position where a kill, 2 kills, 3 kills, it really doesn't matter. Like, they have to go for a round win. And you can see Henny's, like, purchasing some utility to try and... position his riflers in the best place they can be. But it's MIBR clawing their way back on the T side, and you know, 7 here is fine, and it actually makes this half like all of a sudden, you know, Red Canids were like, wow, they're running away with this, and then in a space of 4 minutes, the whole narrative shifts.
Yes, of course, it is a little wild, but that is the game. MIBR. I don't know, like, what sort of round score do you like to see out of a T-side Anubis? I'm saying at least 7, if not a little bit deeper than that, particularly because they got, like, the hard reset on Red Canids. You know, you feel like they should have been controlling the game a little better.
Yeah, 7 for me is, like, on a T side, you're like, okay, guys, we got 7. Nice. But I think 8-4 is a T side. Is like that's when you start. I think that for me is like that's a good enough. But we are starting to see this map get a little bit more 5-7 halfy for the CT side. But 6-6 is not enough. It's not good enough. It can be enough, but to me it's not good enough. So MIBR, you got 6. Can you push over the line? You've got no AWP on the side. Not that that's been much of an issue. But you've changed up your fortunes. You've got some success. Can you bring yourself in second half? Pushing your weight and showing why you are the better team. And Insani says yes.
Really looking good in this half, and he has stepped up in the past few rounds as well, it has to be noted. Red Canids kind of falling back on their default approach, which is to just look for those timing aggression plays, not even, you know, the contact flashes and things like this, just sort of sending manpower in. The 1-for-1 trade is not going to be good enough outside of B main, costs Cold a lot of HP as well. So, look. Nathan spotted, finished. Insani, he's got a good read on where these players are coming from. Must have heard a Henny step a little earlier. His teammates ready for the camera play. It's all down to Cold Zero. Nothing he can really do from here. Of course, the final round of the half means that he has to at least show his face. Will he be able to survive a little while longer? The answer is no. Him down. There's the 7 we were looking for in MIBR with a recovery at the tail end of that first half. We'll see you in the second.
Red Canids in that first half showed They do have a fierce bite, but unfortunately, they couldn't continue that success. So now as we go on second half, MIBR are in the driving seat. They won the first map, they won Nuke, and they're looking to win both of these now to secure themselves potentially a second place in the regular stage of ESL Challenger South America. But this pistol round, Red Canids, they are fiercely hot on the scene on this B-bomb site.
Yeah, some aggression pulled out from MIBR. They run into the brunt of the attack, of course. The bomb has yet to go down, so there is certainly potential to stop that from happening ultimately, and Safe will do exactly that, at least for the time being. Keeps the headshots coming as well. A big round out from Safe. The ace on the cards. The last one proving difficult. Will leave him low. Swaps for the Julies to get the job done, and the ace comes out for the MIBR AWPer. Absolutely incredible showing and stealing it away all by himself.
Okay, Safe has had a very poor game when it comes to AWPing. He had the AWP out a lot very early on their T side, and he did nothing. But he has had now 2 really high impact rounds, one with a rifle and then on that pistol round. So sure, we might be looking at him to say like, okay, dude, like, how about on the AWP? But if he's still able to show up when he doesn't have the AWP and he can fall back on other means of success, that's really powerful. And Red Canids, that was their round for the taking, and they don't even get the bomb down. So they're going to be starting on the back foot now on this T side as they head into an eco round.
The Kowsey to open up with the advancement here. Does go past the bomb, but checks his angle. Oh no, it's Insani, excuse me. The closeness of those two players caught me off guard for sure, but all the same, at least someone is checking those corners. Bomb will be dropped. More money to be made. Knife is out, but unsuccessful. Imagine, yeah, that would have been kind of wild. Not in a million years, though, with so many players around. MIBR quickly move up to 9.
Okay, that round went as anticipated. The SMG's got some dollar bling bling. But now this is a really big litmus test for this half. Red Canids, they've never really been in the... They never really had an advantageous position by a substantial margin. They've been fighting from behind, time in and time out. They're down by 4 rounds, but they're on the rifles. Issue is, Cold's already taken a hefty chunk of damage to the grenade. And this is a must-win round for the T-side. And they are playing it very simple. A default spread across the map. Not really putting much pressure, apart from being knife in the middle. But ultimately, at a minute and 20, after they've held the extremities, we're going to start seeing some bullying towards connector. And the bomb is currently in middle. There's no really clear direction yet of where Red Canids want to end. Okay.
Yeah, it looks that way eventually. I would say, though, you know, the bullying has been pretty successful here. Kill actually comes in. Coldzera just holding the angle. They get a little overconfident. Lukazi knows his life is on the line. Has to make a move. Does not work out. Does some good damage. The kills don't convert. And it is a bonus here. There is a fair amount of cash available. Drop was the first one in to potentially find a kill before the bomb went down. But as soon as it gets planted, he's out of there and they will save. So not much in the end of this round. Red Canids do very, very well. As you say, keep it simple, and it's MIBR that make the unforced errors.
Yeah, there was that, like, ounce of pressure in middle. And so because of that, we only had 2 players on the B-bomb site when the hit came through for MIBR. And Insani dies quite early. Lukazi gets put in an awful position, an awful predicament to be in. And naturally, he doesn't get a kill. Don't think you really expect him to do much there. He's being pincered with the MP, and he's got an MP9 at his disposal. So Red Canids, they speak to me that, yeah, they are gonna contend in this half. They are gonna put up at least some resistance. And that was a pretty nice default. That ended up being a very nice round. Very simple, very effective.
This is what we look towards, though, to see whether there will be an answer back from MIBR, whether they can stop the Red Canids before they get going. Molotov comes out early. It seems like Red Canids know that MIBR might want to make a move here. Going to be another B play. This one potentially coming faster than the last. Lucasi's got the right idea with the molly. Maybe a smoke down here, though, to really just solidify their position. He will get it in. They might opt to go through it, though. They've got their own little wall of smokes. It's a clever idea from Red Canids. Whether it works is, of course, the big question. Heads on the swivel across the board for MIBR. Not a single frag for the Red Canids. Barely coming close. It certainly felt like a cool idea, maybe one that MIBR have seen before. At the very least, they were right place, right time, very well set up.
So that's how you counter that. For reference, I think we came upon it on a scrim recently, and like our B players, I remember watching it just being like, what is going on? I was like, there's smokes everywhere. And I was like, what execute? Like, I was like, what even is this?
Yeah.
So apparently that's actually an actual, like, it's actually a play, right? It's not just something that some random ESEA main team worked up. But it gets countered, I would say, perfectly. I don't know what else that MIBR could have done wrong there. They started originally with only 2 players on the B-bomb site, and rotations swarmed him. There was a fantastic reaction at the click of the fingers of those site players, and Red Canids, they barely even get out the mouth of B-main, keeping 4 players alive ultimately. MIBR, that is a fantastic rebuttal after losing the first gun round.
Yeah, really quite smart from them. Might come down that there's a little bit of a tell, even. That early Molotov, you know, at least gives the game away that Red Canids want some space on B and don't want to be seen. So I think MIBR were ready for a B play. And then, of course, that level of coordination from them with the rotations. Drop. Good for 1. Can't get any more. Insani comes round to thin the numbers, but spots 2 more. And yeah, does not fancy his chances against those. Waits for the fights to come to him. He will eventually fall, but he's bought enough space, found enough kills to win the round out. Great game coming in from him. It's good to see from MIBR over the course of a couple days of following this team on the stream. They've had Safe, they've had Lucazi, they've had Exit. Now they've got Insani playing very, very well. So the whole team feels pretty capable. If they can get it fully ironed out, fully polished, then I think they will be a formidable foe. Nice shot from Venom Zero against the AWP. Had quite a few of those across the course of this series, just unwinnable fights being won. So, yeah, they continue impressing these individuals.
I wanted to talk about how grim around that was MIBR, but now this is a winnable position for Venom Zero. Lucauzi isn't going to be in a position to deny the bomb being planted. But Venom Zero, he's overthinking this one. Oh, if he just got the bomb down, that would have been his best chance in winning this out. But still, MIBR are both separated. However, he doesn't anticipate exit up close. Okay, that was a round that Venom Zero, he hits that first shot, and he forces you to believe, right? He hits that type of shot, and you're like, okay, well, I have to give this respect now. But ultimately, it's a lovely round from MIBR with great layering in middle, fantastic rotation from Safe, and wonderful support for drop by Insani. And it's just 1 by 1. Red Canids can never get a break.
Yeah, looking tough here, isn't it? They, again, started this half off decently well, but unfortunately have stopped coming close. MIBR taking over the game. And this is one of the big issues. Yes, it's a T-sided map, but getting through these fraggers can be really, really tough. And they are not pulling any punches. Insani keeps his fragging ways going, doubling up on the KD now. And yeah, they're all the way in, mate. They're all the way in.
I was also saying last round, Lucauzi pushes B without being spotted. So they've just done that again. And now we have, I was going to say a big rotation, but not everybody's actually here yet for MIBR. Finally, Safe does join the fun. Drop is still alive. He's the final line of defense from the original anchors. And, well, he doesn't miss a beat. He drops 2 dead in front of him. And MIBR take map points and look to finish the season in the group stage, very strong.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a pretty clean run of games the past couple of days as well. There will be a break going on. I'm sure all these boys want to get down to the playoffs for Rio as well, hopefully in the crowd. But they also have to get that prep time in for the playoffs next week, and well, what better place to do it than in the officials themselves? It's a very good sign for MIBR, I think, if they are able to tap into this kind of performance, and again, particularly on the individual level. Oh! All right.
Did they just kill each other out the server?
I'm not sure what's happened.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on either. I think it's a 3 versus 3. Now it's a 2 versus 2.
Oh,
3?
Insani's also gone.
So it's a 2 versus 3 by the mini-map. By the X-ray,
Yeah, mini
seems like
catching up.
exit. Oh, it's a 1 versus 1. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we've only seen 2 kills in this round, and it's a 1 versus 1.
Something's happened with the connection.
But we're still going ahead. This is, it seems like we're very much live still. Damage was done, even though both teams have met a very awkward fate. It's even playing fields. Venom Zero, though, planting full exit. This could be it. This could be the final kill of the game, and it's an unorthodox end to Anubis. But MIBR looks like they take 13, and it looks like Red Canids are going to have to settle with 6th place going into playoffs.
Okay, so definitely, yeah, one of the finishes, one of the ends to a game of all time. I don't think I've ever really seen anything like that at all. We have seen some wild stuff over the years in Counter-Strike to finish off games, but yeah, that's kind of wild. I don't rightly know what has gone down there, sir. It did seem we had some disconnections on both sides. I don't know what to say. But ultimately, they have to take it. It feels like a bit of a dirty way to win on the MIBR side. I mean, listen, if they disconnected on the other end, you might, like, for sportsman-like conduct, just kind of be like, okay, you can have this round. It's not the way to finish it. But because they lost players as well, they're all in the same sort of boat. I don't know. A crazy, crazy turn of affairs. We checked back in with our player to watch, and unfortunately, Davideus, after a really good run, a really good sort of stat line over the past few games, and of course at Pro League looking pretty good as well. He's actually had a very rough showing there on Anubis. It is safe to say, yes, it was a one-sided affair, but he still doesn't really pull too much weight, unfortunately, in the end.
Yes, but with that in mind, that wraps up the league play. I think every team now will have played all 30 of their matches, and if I'm not mistaken, MIBR might have snagged 2nd place just under the nose of Imperial by round difference, I think, because of how dominant that game against Red Canids was. And yeah, Red Canids, they're going to go down to 6th, I would assume, so pretty poor finish for them, but a great finish for MIBR. And with that in mind, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. It was a bit of a wild and wacky way to end off that game, but it was still a very exciting game of Counter-Strike Scrim. It's been a pleasure joining you tonight, and I wish everybody a lovely rest of their evening.
you.